Scott, a lot of times in marketing, there's a phrase, the customer journey and creating the customer journey map. And yes, it's really interesting and it kind of takes different types of customers that you have walking through the various touch points in your organization. Let me flip this on you a little bit and say, in order to deliver a really good customer experience, you need to have good sales and marketing processes.
Yes.
So, do you know what your sales and marketing processes are inside your organization?
Okay, I'm going to tell a story.
Please do.
This is a bit of a setup. Some time ago, I was fortunate enough to have a Saturday morning Zoom conversation with a gentleman named Mike Weinberg. And I think Mike Weinberg is a very influential and common sense sales leader. And I asked him a couple of questions, and his responses were very interesting. The first one was that part of the challenge within organizations that oftentimes, and I'll be careful how I say this, a lot of times the senior leadership doesn't really understand the marketing and sales or the revenue generating process. As a result, they're not able to properly support it or invest in it. The second part of it, which I want to lean into here, is the idea that um, what Mike said to me was that he's going into the largest organizations in North America, multi-million dollar companies. And he says their level of sales sophistication is such as here's a pair of skates and here's how you tie them. So this has been in my head for over a year. And what it makes me think, Tim, is that there are a lot of smaller and medium organizations here in Manitoba and Winnipeg and in Western Canada that are much smaller than some of the organizations that the Mike Weinberg and Anthony Iannarinos are going into. And my guess is that they probably have a similar level of sophistication around their marketing and sales plans.
The interesting part about that, Scott, is yes, I agree. For me, the first thing that comes to play is it's not going to be different. It's just a question of scale when you go to a larger
Yeah.
company or a smaller one. Smaller companies should still be going through the right steps in their sales and marketing processes to deliver the value for the customer at the end of the day. And you and I would say, with respect, we don't see it consistently enough at a high
No.
level across various organizations. We're both fortunate to work for some companies, with some companies rather, that do phenomenal job on this. So we know that there's the potential.
Yes.
It's just not consistently there.
It has to be very intentional. And I'm thinking about some organizations that I've spoken with in the last 3 to 6 months. And oftentimes they describe some of the challenges that they're going through, and they're obviously very frustrated. And part of how I try to help them, at least sort of frame it, is to say, you know what, while you feel like what you're dealing with is quite unique, there are so many organizations out there that are struggling with the same challenges. And in a lot of ways, it's because they either haven't refreshed the process for a long time or they grew without really having those fundamentals in place. And now they're sort of inadvertently dealing with the consequences of not having a sound fundamental marketing plan and an aligned fundamental sales plan to go with it.
There's that word alignment again, and it's something that's so critical. If you're looking to establish processes to give you more confidence in the generation of profitable revenue moving forward, you have to have alignment with these two functions.
So I suppose the question to end with, and this is the idea where you're supposed to be thoughtful now and think about this, is can you describe in any kind of detail, or can your teams describe in any detail what your revenue generation plan looks like? So describe in detail the marketing plan, describe in detail the sales plan, and how those two things align. So that's your homework. Think about that. And how did you want to end this again?
Onward.